Well, there's a bunch of stuff going on. There's a bunch of strange stuff going on right about now. Um, and it's all orchestrated, in my opinion. This whole thing with Anthony Fauci being on trial, and he's pleading the fifth and all of that. They're all in on it. You know, Trump made a statement about what Anthony did, and no, they're all in on it. Um, they also got the fake Jews making a statement saying that let me get to it. Fake Jews, this was on today. It says Sanhedrin issues historic ruling calling to heaven for Messiah and the third temple. Now they calling for heaven for their Messiah and for the third temple. They say a call to heaven, bring the Messiah, restore Israel, and rebuild the third temple. Now, I believe, as I've said in other videos, that they're going to use that permanent U.S. embassy as their third temple. That's what I believe they're going to do. And I guess we'll find out what comes from, them calling on heaven. I'm guessing that heaven is going to tell them that, okay, it's okay. You don't have to use the Temple Mount. Just go ahead and use the permanent U.S. embassy. That's good enough. We'll see, though. But I just really don't think they're going to build it on that mount. Number one, because they're not even supposed to build another third temple. The Bible doesn't even say anything about a third temple. This is just them doing, this. So it really don't matter where it's built. So, but this is quite interesting that they just came out with this historic ruling that they called on heaven to bring the Messiah, to restore Israel, and to rebuild the third temple. Now, all of this is it's just a little overwhelming because, again, earlier this month, or I guess it was in June, they talked about this meeting that's going to be in November for them to basically establish the Noahide laws. You see how all of this stuff is like jiving together, and it's like the what is it? The Noahide laws. That will be the new order. That's going to be the new order. That will be the one world religion that will be led by the Antichrist. Because this is why they asked Donald Trump in that letter that you need to establish the International Divine Court, which will be based on the 7 Noahide laws. So this one world religion will be headed by the Antichrist because Donald Trump is the chairman for life on that board of peace, which I believe is that International Divine Court that those fake Jews said he needed to get together. So it's like all of this stuff is like, it's like, I believe this stuff is this year, this is it. And I think they're actually planning for some type of collapse because, of course, the phoenix rises from the ashes. So we see they doing all these different recalls on the food, lettuce, blueberries, bread, soups, what else? They got all kind of recalls. And I believe they're going to blame that on somebody. So when this thing shuts down, it's going to be pretty bad. It's going to be real bad. And I didn't even know that they had already started saying that COVID cases are rising. I didn't know that. That they saying The COVID estimates COVID-19 infections growing in 37 U.S. states. This came out, the CDC came out with this July 22nd. So they're getting ready to do food scarcity, these pandemics with the COVID or whatever else plagues that they're introducing. And this thing is about to get bad. But I believe there's a reason why Fauci is where he is. It's all, this stuff is all, it has some, I believe it has something to do with the fact that they're saying that the COVID-19 infections are rising. Now, this is something that I didn't know. I did not know that these evil beasts, they had a thing called the Rockefeller Lockstep 2010. This was another, it was a COVID simulation. I didn't know anything about that one. And the people that diagnosed this whole thing, they did a good job. And I think what they're saying in this report, and I'll read it, it basically says what they're going to do. They did an outline of their plan. This, what's the name of it again? Lockstep 2010. It was a scenario they did in 2010. And the people that wrote this thing, they wrote this in 2022, 2/10/22. And they said the COVID plan / Rockefeller Lockstep 2010. They hypothesized a simulated global outbreak, required steps, various phases, overall timelines, and expected outcomes. This was posted in the Rockefeller Lockstep 2010. I didn't know anything about that. Again, they say the Rockefeller Lockstep 2010 was a blueprint for 2020 COVID pandemic. And this was written by the Millennium Report. I guess it's a company or whoever they are. But what they're saying is pretty interesting. And again, here we have, okay, cases are rising in COVID. I just found that out today. I didn't even know they was going to be using COVID again. I thought they was moving on to something else. But they're saying in 37 states, COVID is rising. So this plan was in 2010. And from what I read, it's like they were saying, okay, if this didn't work, then we would go this route. If this route didn't work, we would go this route. And one of these routes that I'm going to read is what I believe they're doing right now. And yeah, this thing is going to be, it's going to be pretty scary. Now, when they do have this financial collapse, this housing crises, a collapse, grid shut down, COVID rising, cholesterol, whatever it is, when all of this stuff hits, and when they have to shut down and do another lockdown, this is when they're gonna tell people that you must, in order to function in society, you got to get your digital IDs. We got to, everything must go digital to keep you all safe. In order for you all to get good food, you need your digital IDs so we'll know where to send it and we can put it here and there. But then again, you got to note this now. The digital IDs will not be valid if you're not current on your vaccines. See, they're going to need the vaccines because they got the cure sclerosis, whatever it is, whatever. They got to cure that, and they got to cure COVID coming back up. So it's so much stuff going on when this stuff hits, and it's going to hit hard, and they're going to tell people, they're going to demand that you go to digital IDs. We got to do everything digital. It's not going to be safe, just like they did with COVID. How they wasn't giving you change in the stores and, all of that. So you got to do everything digital. We got to go to the digital IDs, and your digital IDs will not be valid if you're not fully vaccinated. And again, they got this new vaccine that AI came out with, and it's a DNA vaccine. And as I've said in other videos, that this will be the vaccine that they're going to use to mark the people. And I believe that this stuff is going to happen this year. It could probably start next month when all of this stuff starts spiraling like a snowball. It could start next month. I don't know whether it's going to be with the food insecurities, COVID is going to spread rapidly, or this explosive diarrhea. I don't know what, but something is about to hit real hard very soon. Very soon. And again, possibly next month. And the fact that in November, they're going to establish, from their words, they're going to establish the Noahide laws. So when people refuse to obey, once they, do this new plandemic, when people begin to refuse to obey, that's when I believe they're going to be very serious about putting people in camps, because this thing is going to be so bad. And if you are a vaccine, what they called us, I forgot what they called the unvaccinated people. But if you are anti-vaxxer, and you saying they're not going to tolerate you, they're going to put you in camps. And whenever they do establish those laws, boom. When people begin to call on the name of Jesus after they've been mistreated so bad in them camps. And once those laws do become finalized, I believe that's when they're going to start chopping off heads. And again, at the beginning of the tribulation period, the persecution starts day one, because it's going to be for 3.5 years. For 3.5 years. However many days are in 3.5 years, it starts on day one. So I believe this could possibly be it. They're getting ready to do it. It's too much stuff going on. It's too much stuff going on right now. Now, I want to read what they wrote in this Millennium Report about the Rockefeller Lockstep 2010 was a blueprint for COVID, for 2020 COVID-19 pandemic. Now this thing, they did this in 2010. Okay. Now, I want to read a short plan before I get to reading that one. What somebody posted. And this could be very true. The Operation Lockstep from the Rockefeller Playbook. Okay, they say phase 1, common cold, flu, mild symptoms at most, media endorsement of mass paranoia and fear, flawed testing system utilized, which picks up any genetic material in the body and triggers a positive result. Inflation of COVID case numbers through changing of death certificates, double counting and classifying all deaths, including other diseases and natural causes, as COVID-19. Lockdown will condition us to life under draconian laws, prevent protests, and identify public resistance. Okay, now that's phase 1 of the Rockefeller Playbook, Operation Lockstep. Phase 2. The phase 1 will lead to compromise and frail immune systems through lack of food, social distancing, wearing masks, and lack of contact with sunlight and healthy bacteria. Exposure to 5G radiation will further attack the immune system. Thus, when people reemerge into society, more people will fall ill. This will be blamed on COVID-19. This will all occur before the vaccination is ready to justify it. A longer and more potent lockdown will follow until everyone takes the vaccine. That's phase 2. I believe phase 2 is kind of like right where we are now and what they're about to do now. Phase 3. If majority of people resist the vaccine, a weaponized SARS, HIV, MERS virus will be released. A lot of people will die from this. It will be survival of the fittest. It will also be the ultimate push for everyone to be vaccinated in order to return to normality. Those who have taken the vaccine will be at war with those who have not. It will be anarchy from all sides. Now, this was just a brief breakdown of the Operation Lockstep that the Rockefellers came out with in 2010. Now, I want to read the one that the people from the millennial from the Millennium Report. Okay. They say create a very contagious but super low mortality rate virus to fit the needed plan using SARS HIV hybrid research strain created at Fort Detrick Class 4 lab from 2008 to 2013 as part of a research project to find out why coronaviruses spread like wildfire in bats but have an extremely hard time infecting humans. To counteract that, they added 4 HIV inserts into the virus. The missing key to infect the human is the ACE2 receptor. Create a weaponized version of the virus with a much higher mortality rate as a backup plan, ready to be released in phase 3, but only if needed. SARS, HIV, MERS, weaponized Trebit strain created at Fort Detrick Class 4 lab in 2015. Transport the research strain to different Class 4 lab. The National Microbiology Lab in Winnipeg, Canada, and have it stolen and smuggled out by China, Zhejiang Li, on purpose, and taken to China's only Class 4 lab, which is Wuhan Institute of Virology in Wuhan, China, for added plausible deniability and to help cement the wanted backup public script as something to fall back on if needed. The primary script being its natural, backup script being that China created it by accident. Fund all the talking heads, Fauci, Birx, Tedros, and agencies, World Health Organization, NIAID, the CDC, and also the UN. That would be involved with pandemic response prior to the planned release of the research strain to control the wanted script throughout the operation. Create and fund the vaccination development and rollout plan so it's capable of being rolled out on a global scale. Gates, a decade of vaccines and the Global Action Vaccine Action Plan, 2010 to 2020. Create a fund create and fund the vaccination and verification protocols, digital ID to enforce, confirm the vaccination program after the mandatory rollout is enacted, Gates ID 2020. Simulate the lockstep hypothesis just prior to the planned research strain release using a real-world exercise as a final war game to determine expected responses, timelines, and outcomes. Event 201 in October 2019. Release the research strain at the Wuhan Institute of Virology instead, and then blame its release on a natural scapegoat as the wanted primary script. Wuhan Wet Market, November 2019. Exactly the same as the simulation. Downplay the human-to-human transmission for as long as possible to allow the research strain to spread on global scale before any country can lock down, respond to avoid initial infection. Once a country has seen infection in place, lock down incoming, outgoing travel, keep the transmission within the country spreading for as long as possible. Once enough people in the country region are infected, enact forced quarantines, isolation for that area, and expand the lockdown regions slowly over time. Overhype the mortality rate by tying the research strain to deaths that have little to nothing to do with the actual virus to keep the fear and compliance at a maximum. If anyone dies for any reason and is found to have COVID, consider it a COVID death. And if anyone is thought to of maybe had symptoms of COVID, assume they had COVID and consider it as a COVID death. Keep the public quarantines for as long as possible to destroy the region's economy, create civil unrest, break down the supply chain, and cause the start of mass food shortages, as well as cause people's immune system to weaken due to lack of interaction with other people's bacteria, the outside world, aka the things that keep our immune system alert and active. Downplay and attack any potential threats and continue to echo that the only cure that is viable to fight this virus is the vaccine. Continue to drag out the quarantine over and over again in 2-week intervals. Okay, there is that 2-week spell casting again. It is a CIA program causing more and more people to eventually stand up and protest, defy them. And here is the key part to now. Excuse me. Eventually, in phase 1, quarantine, once they get enough public pushback, expected June 2020, and publicly state that they think it's too early to end the isolation. But I'm going to do it anyways. Once the public go back to normal, wait a few weeks and continue to overhype the research strain mortality rate, August to September 2020, and combined it with the increase in deaths due to people dying from standard illnesses at a higher rate than normal due to having highly weakened immune systems from months of being isolated, which backs up what I said. You should social distance people who wear masks regular. That's what they've just told you. They have highly weakened immune systems. To help further pad the mortality rate and also hype the end and coming up phase 2 lockdown. Eventually, phase 2 quarantines, October through November 2020, on an even more extreme level and blame the protesters, mostly people who do not trust their government already, as the cause of the largest second wave, whereby the media will say, "We told you so. It was too early. It's all your own fault because you needed a haircut. Uh, your freedoms have consequences." Should this all unfold in this manner, the U.S. election will be canceled, delayed, or suspended. My opinion, how can you vote with phase 2 quarantines? You can't. Now, some of this stuff is their opinion. They're trying to put it together how they feel this simulation, might as well say this simulation is going to play out. Enforce phase 2 quarantines at a much more extreme level, increasing the penalty for defiance. Replace fines with jail time. See, this is what I think is going to come up this time around, because it's going to be so bad. That's why Trump got all these warehouses. Amazon got all these empty warehouses. They got them all over the place. Replace fines with jail time. Deem all travel as non-essential. Increase checkpoints, including military assistance. Increase tracing after population via mandatory app. Take over control of food. See, this is why I think they're doing what they're doing with all these recalls. It's like every other day there's a recall on something. Now, this guy, what's his name? Can't even think his name. These people so dog. Henry Kissinger. He was saying if you control the food, you control the people. And I believe this is what they're doing. This is what they're doing with all of these food recalls. They're going to tell you what you should be eating. And we already see that Gates has already come out with this plastic food is what I call it, and this plant-based foods. They're going to tell you what you're going to be able to eat. And one of the Noahide laws is that you cannot eat the limb of a living animal. Okay, how are we getting the meats in these stores if living animals weren't killed? See, Bill Gates' foods are not from living animals. They're plant-based. They print seafood. They can print salmon and steak and all of that. So if you are eating the foods that we normally eat, that's breaking one of the Noahide laws. Okay, they say increase tracing after population via mandatory app. Take over control of food, gas, and create large-scale shortages so that people can only get access to essential products or services if they are first given permission. Now, we see the gas prices about to go up. The fact that Trump has started this war that was never ending with Iran. So these gas prices are about to explode. Keep the phase 2 lockdown in place for a much longer period of time than the phase 1 lockdown, continuing to destroy the global economy, and Trump is doing a great job of that. Further degrade the supply chain and further amplify the food shortages and the like. Quell any public outrage using extreme actions or force, and make anyone who defies them appear as public enemy number 1 to those who are willing to submit. They're going to get serious about putting people in jail. After a rather long phase 2 lockdown of 6 months plus, roll out the vaccination program and the vaccine certification and make it mandatory for everyone. Digital IDs. Digital IDs. Oh man, this is pretty good, and this is about spot on. I believe this is exactly what they're about to do very soon. Okay, again, after a rather long phase 2 lockdown for 6 months plus, roll out the vaccination program and the vaccine certification and make it mandatory for everyone, giving priority access to those that submit from the start, and have those that are for it attack those that are against it. Again, when the Lord told me in 2019 that COVID 19 was just a blueprint of how the tribulation period was going to be, I told you all in several videos that my own brother told me that I was the reason people were dying. And actually, 2 years ago, my brother just passed away. And I believe it was because of those vaccines, because he had blood clots, and he just, after them vaccines and the boosters that he took, he just declined. And I always believe it was the vaccines. But my brother believed that I was the cause of people getting sick and the reason why we couldn't get back to normal. So it's gonna be on a higher scale this time around. I mean, people are gonna be killing each other because of this thing, because you got people who won't take it. Let's see. Again, it's a giving priority access to those that submitted from the start, and have those that are for it attack those that are against it, saying they are a threat and the cause of the problems. Yep, my brother said that about me. By using words like, we can't go back to normal until everyone takes the vaccine. And people defying them are hurting our way of life and therefore are the enemy. I'm telling you, I experienced this. My brother literally couldn't stand me because he felt like I was the reason why people can't get back to normal. Says, in other words, they are going to turn the people against each other. The word of God says that in one of the seals, I believe it was the red horse, that people were going to kill one another. If the majority of people go along with the agenda, then let those people enter the new system, the new normal, while limiting the minority that defied the agenda's ability to work, travel, and live. Ooh, don't that sound like it? You won't be able to buy, sell, trade, won't do anything without the mark. I have to read that again. If the majority of people go along with the agenda, then let those people enter the new system, the new normal, while limiting the minority that defied the agenda's ability to work, won't be able to work, travel, or live without that mark. If the majority of people go against the agenda, then release. This is planned. This is a part of the phase 3. If the majority of the people go against the agenda, you got a lot of people who say, we're not taking no more vaccines. We don't want digital IDs. So they say, if the majority of the people go against the agenda, then release the weaponized SARS, HIV, MERS, Tibet strain as a phase 3 operation. And I believe they can release that through the vaccines that people took. They put the technology in your bodies. They can, and those vaccines, I did a video of them telling you all the side effects. And they got basically all of these SARS, HIV, MERS, all of that was inside of the vaccines. All of it. They say that's a side effect. AIDS. They put it in there. So when they hit that when they turn up that 6G, people are going to get deadly sick. So they say, if the majority of the people go against the agenda, then release the weaponized SARS, HIV, MERS, Tibet strain as a phase 3 operation, a virus with a 30% mortality rate as a final scare to punish the majority to quickly become, to punish the minority to quickly become the majority and give a final "we told you so" to those that didn't listen. Okay, enact the new economy model. Microsoft patent 060606, cryptocurrency system using body activity data, which is based on human behavior and willingness to submit. Donald Trump, the crypto king. It is a tweaked version of the Black Mirror's 15 million merits program using food, water, shelter, and other essentials as a weapon of enforcement of the new economic system. Basically, do what we want and get rewarded. Gain credit scores and gain more access to things you need to survive. Or go against what we want and get penalized, lose credit score, and lose access to things you need to survive. And this is your new world order. Technology on steroids where you have no option but to comply. Those of you who missed the rapture, don't do it. It's going to be hard not to, hard not to comply. Most people are not used to eating maybe one meal a day. And for about 4 years now, God has had me on this one meal a day. All I eat is one meal a day. And I'm good to go. Most people, they eat 3 meals a day. So can you imagine the amount of people who are going to bow down and take this thing? It's going to be bad. Again, it said, and that is your new world order, technology on steroids, where you have no option but to comply. And if anyone thinks that this isn't true, then go and check out some parts of China, because they've already started some of the cryptocurrency systems in place in certain areas. And you notice the Antichrist Trump, he's always saying, we got to outdo China. We got to compete. If we don't do it, somebody else will, like he told the people to accept the data centers. If we don't do it, we won't be ahead of China. Man. They say, so this is the outline of their plan. And what we have to stop by outing it in many places as possible. Now, again, I say to these people who think I'm praying for these people, they do a lot of good research, but they don't know the Lord. They believe that it is something that they can do. We got to expose these people. We got to stop them. You cannot stop them. You can't stop the tribulation period. Jesus told those Pharisees and Sadducees when they said he cast out demons by Beelzebub. Jesus said, how can Satan cast out Satan? Now, I'm not calling these people satanic that write these reports and say that it's something that we can do. I'm not calling them satanic. But if you don't know the Lord, if you're not serving God, then who are you serving, basically? Satan. So how can Satan cast out Satan? There is nothing that you can do. There is no kind of, you got all these prepper channels that they saying that, get your food preps and get this prepped and we got to stand up. We got to fight. There's nothing. If you don't know the Lord, how can Satan cast out Satan? It's a losing battle. They say, and also calling out Q and Trump and asking them, are you going to stop this? Mass arrests are irrelevant. This is essential, and this has to be blocked. Bless your heart, sir. Whoever wrote this, it's nothing that you can do. Now they're saying as of July the 22nd, 2026, we estimate that COVID-19 infections are growing or likely growing in 37 states. If y'all paying attention, this thing is about to happen, and it's about to happen this year. There's a reason why the little man, Dr. Fauci, they got him, it's all a show. They said, or likely growing in 37 states, declining or likely declining in 0 states, and not changing in 11 states. Previous estimates can be found on datacdc.gov. Epidemic trend is estimated at the national, state, and health services area levels for the United States. HSA is a geographic area that combines one or more contiguous counties to form a region that is relatively self-contained with respect to hospital care. The National Center for Health Statistics, which is part of the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, was originally responsible for defining HSS. And HAS, shown here, aligned with state boundaries. I don't want to read all that, I don't guess. I'm not going to read all that. CDC estimates COVID-19 infections growing in 37 U.S. states. The Center for Disease Control and Prevention estimates COVID-19 infections are growing or likely growing in 37 states with a 91% probability. The epidemic is increasing nationwide, according to the agency's latest data. The CDC's epidemic trend estimates are based on data from June 23rd through to July 21st, and shows infections are growing or likely growing in 37 states, not changing in 11 states, and declining in none. At the same time, COVID-19 accounts for about 0 to 2% of emergency department visits nationwide, a level the agency classifies as very low. States the CDC classifies as growing include Texas, Louisiana, Mississippi, and Hawaii. States classified as likely growing or a mix of growing are likely growing include Alabama, Arkansas, Georgia, North Carolina, South Carolina, Virginia, Maryland, Delaware, New Jersey, Connecticut, Massachusetts, Rhode Island, New Hampshire, Maine, Nevada, and Utah. All other states are classified as not changing, not estimated, or having insufficient data. Globally, the World Health Organization reported 17,860 COVID-19 cases during a 28-day period as of July 5th, an increase of 3,824 cases compared with the previous reporting period. Thailand reported about 9,900 cases, followed by Brazil with about 5,000 cases. Colombia reported 508 cases. The United Kingdom reported 372, and Mexico reported 361, according to World Health Organization dashboard. COVID-19 is caused by the SARS-CoV-2 virus, first identified in Wuhan, China in late 2019. Liars. Go back to Rockefeller Lockstep scenario. They'll tell you about that lie. The virus can spread through respiratory droplets and can cause mild symptoms to severe illness, according to the CDC. They say, according to the White House, COVID-19 likely originated from a lab-related incident involving gain-of-function research. See, this is why they got the little guy up on the stage, shall I say. That's what it is, a stage, because it's all a skit. And they already said in the lockstep that they were going to say this. They was going to use this lie that the true origin of COVID-19 website, the Trump administration says the virus has a biological characteristic that is not found in nature, and that Wuhan's leading SARS laboratory conducted gain of function research under inadequate biosafety conditions. The administration also says researchers at the Wuhan Institute of Virology experienced COVID like symptoms before the outbreak was identified, and that evidence supporting a natural origin has not surfaced. You all go make sure you pull up that Lockstep, the Rockefeller Lockstep 2010 scenario. I didn't even know they did a scenario in 2010. Everything that they're doing right now is in that that Lockstep Rockefeller scenario. These people are wicked, man. I didn't know that. I didn't know about no Lockstep scenario until the day that came out in 2010. Now, if you were to Google this, they're gonna tell you that no, it's not real. It's just something fake that we do. It's not real. It says the White House further says the publication, The Proximal Origin of SARS-CoV-2, was promoted by Dr. Anthony Fauci to promote the narrative that COVID-19 originated naturally. Okay, this is why they got him on stage, obviously. The administration also criticized the World Health Organization's response to the pandemic. The World Health Organization response to the COVID-19 pandemic was an abject failure because it caved to pressure from the Chinese Communist Party and placed China's political interests ahead of its international duties, the White House said. Boy, these people are, ooh, boy, they're getting this thing ready. They are such big liars. Further, the World Health Organization's newest effort to solve the problems exacerbated by the COVID-19 pandemic via a pandemic treaty may harm the United States. In 2025, the Trump administration rejected amendments to the World Health Organization's international health regulations, arguing they would expand the World Health Organization's authority during public health emergencies and threaten U.S. sovereignty. In announcing the decision, Health and Human Services said the amended regulations could allow the World Health Organization to order global lockdowns, travel restrictions, and any other measures it sees fit to respond to nebulous potential public health risks. They're coming with another lockdown. They said they would do that in the Lockstep scenario, 2010. Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. said the amendments open the door to the kind of narrative management, propaganda, and censorship that we saw during the COVID pandemic. The United States can cooperate with other nations with jeopardizing our civil liberties without undermining our Constitution and without ceding away America's treasured sovereignty. Chabu. He said, our agencies have been and will continue to be clear. We will put Americans first in all our actions, and we will not tolerate international policies that infringe on American speech, privacy, or personal liberties, Secretary of State Marco Rubio said at the time. Chabu, you the same man that wore some bozo shoes that Trump bought you, and you sitting there looking like a child wearing these shoes. A complete idiot. Now, I want to read the short version of this Operation Lockstep again from the Rockefeller playbook. And that phase three is Yeah, we about to come into phase 3. Phase 1. Now, again, this came out in 2010. They did this one in 2010. Phase 1, common cold, flu, mild symptoms at most. Media endorsement of mass paranoia and fear. Flawed testing systems utilized, which picks up any generic material in the body and triggers a positive result. Inflation of COVID case numbers through changing of death certificates, double counting and classifying all deaths, including other diseases and natural causes, as COVID-19. Lockdown will condition us to live under draconian laws, prevent protest, and identify public resistance. Step 2. Step 2. Here's step 2. The first phase will lead to compromised and frail immune systems through lack of food, social distancing, wearing masks, and lack of contact with sunlight and healthy bacteria. Exposure to 5G radiation will further attack the immune system. Thus, when people reemerge into society, more people will fall ill. This will be blamed on COVID-19, and it was. This will all occur before the vaccination is ready to justify it. A longer and more potent lockdown will follow until everyone takes the vaccine. Now, before I read phase 3 again, remember Klaus Schwab said, nobody is safe unless everybody is vaccinated. They say a longer and more potent lockdown will follow until everyone takes the vaccine. Again, I say COVID-19, the COVID shots were not the vaccine. They were getting everybody used to getting those vaccines. So when phase 3 comes and they begin to use the vaccines that AI just created, these will be the vaccines they're going to use to mark the people. See, they're not going to go for no in phase 3. You know, you vaccine resistant people that missed the rapture, it's going to be jail. It's going to be jail. And just like they say, if the majority of the people refuse, because they don't want digital IDs and they don't want vaccines anymore, then they're going to release. They're going to turn up 6G, and everybody that's got that technology on the inside of their bodies, they're going to release. Here it is. The third phase. If the majority of people resist the vaccine, a weaponized SARS, HIV, MERS virus will be released. It's already in the bodies of those who took the vaccines. 6G, when they turn up that 6G, baby, people are going to be dropping like flies. They say a lot of people will die from this. It will be survival of the fittest. It will also be the ultimate push for everyone to be vaccinated. See, they're going to tell people, see how people dying? You got to get the vaccines in order to return to normality. Those who have taken the vaccine will be at war with those who have not. It will be anarchy from all sides. I believe it was the red horse that after the white horse, the red horse is where it said they will be killing. People going to be killing each other. It's going to be amplified. It's going to be worse than it was during COVID. Again, my brother blamed me because I had company over, during COVID, and he was like, you're the one causing these people to die. We're trying to get back to normal. And here you are. You got people over to your house and you haven't taken the vaccine, Angela. No, during these, when they released that SARS and HIV and MERS, Anybody that's going around and saying, hey, man, I'm not taking it, y'all, they're going to be trying to tell you that they releasing these viruses and they're going to call you a conspiracy theory. And it's going to be the people who are going to be killing each other. Well, they ain't going to just call you an anti-vaxxer. People are going to be killing each other over this thing. And I just want to read something that Mr. Kissinger said. Mass starvation and engineered plagues are not tragic humanitarian disasters. They are meticulous, calculated pest control deployed by the ruling elite to aggressively cull the human livestock the absolute second the herd gets too large to manage. It's Henry Kissinger. And Trump sat down with him when he to the White House and said he's a good man. Now they say this is the J.D. Rockefeller Masonic Creed. Quote, we will keep their lives short and their minds weak while pretending to do the opposite. We will use our knowledge of science and technology in subtle ways so that they never see what is happening. We will use soft metals, aging accelerators, and sedatives in food and water as well as in the air. They will be covered in poisons. Wherever they turn, the soft metals will make them lose their minds. The Rockefellers, the same people that came out with Operation Lockstep. And in Operation Lockstep, 2010, they basically telling you in phase 3 what is about to happen. And again, just like they say, if the majority of the people resist the vaccines, you know, those new vaccines AI came out with, the DNA vaccines, if most of the people resist the vaccines, a weaponized SARS, HIV, MERS virus will be released. It's about to get real bad, y'all. And I think everything that we're seeing in the headlines is showing us exactly where we are. Those of us who have eyes to see, just like Daniel was the only one that could read the handwriting on the wall. Those of us who have eyes to see, we can look at everything that's going on and we can read the handwriting on the wall. And the handwriting on the wall is saying that that tribulation period could very well start this year. This year. And I believe starting next month, we are about to see some very scary things. Y'all take care.